Welcome to the administration video for Influence, a Joomla 3 template. So let's get started. So right now we're at the control panel for Joomla, and this is the basic Joomla install, and this is from our Quick Start edition. So if you're new to Joomla, or if this is for a fresh site, I would suggest just use the Quick Start because it comes with all the demo content, all the modules configured, and everything ready to go. So all you need to do is edit. If you have a pre-existing site, you'll need to install the template and follow the documentation. And this is a pretty good step too, to watch this video if you're installing it, then you'll know exactly where everything goes and what's happening. So let's look at the menu system. I'm not going to go too deep into the menu system because if you're using Joomla, you should probably be aware of how the menu system works. If you're new to Joomla, I would suggest going to YouTube and looking up how to use a Joomla menu system, or going to joomla.org and going to the community and to the training videos. That'll help you a great deal. There's about 5 hours of videos there to get you started. So here is our menu system, and this is for our main menu. You'll see we have our home here, and then sub-menu items are style 1 through 4 here under the home. Then we have our features with our module suffix and typography. Real quick, if you don't know how to do a sub-menu item, first you create a new menu item, and then you create another menu item, such as the module suffixes here. We'll open this up and we'll see that we've selected a single article, and let's select the article. We selected module suffixes. So, parent item. You just select what parent item you want, and that will create the drop-down for you. So let's close out of here, and let's look at our different settings here. So right now I'm going to show you some of our alternative layouts and how we do that. So let's take a look at the FAQ blog. I showed you in the first video the FAQ blog. Okay, how you achieve that look is you'd go here in your menu item type, you would select, and then you're going to go to articles, and then right here is where our overrides are. These are just Joomla overrides for the content and categories. So FAQ blog. So you would just select FAQ blog, and then you can do the normal stuff that you do here inside of Joomla and say how many intro articles. We chose 3 columns, 0 links, and so on. And this goes for just about everything here. You know, you look at timeline, you want the timeline, you select here, and you would select articles and the timeline blog. And of course the timeline blog layout, it's 6 intro articles and 1 column. So you don't need to add any page classes or anything special to do these layouts. They're all just Joomla content overrides. And those can all be found inside the template folder and the influence folder and the HTML folder if you need to check those, and we'll go into that in just a moment. So now the components that are installed, of course, we have our XTC framework helper. We have Acy Mailing, which is a third-party component, and we'll go into that in a moment. So let's look at the extensions. Let's go ahead and focus right now on the home page and how the home page is done. So I'm going to go to modules, and I'm going to use the search tools here to select the position to find these easier and go right through them. So the first position that we're going to look at is the very top, and it's the top slide. That's with the social icons. So as you see, it's titled Social Icons Top Slide. We're going to open that up, and we're going to see that we have a no pad and a no marge module class suffix. The modules have a bottom margin on them, and they have a padding on the module content. So if we want to have no padding and no margin on it, we would use the module suffix no pad for no padding and no marg for no margin. Then here we have our custom HTML output. Now this is our Joomla XTC HTML module. The reason we made this module is we didn't want to have any WYSIWYG editor in here because it's pure HTML. So we didn't want the inherent Joomla WYSIWYG editor to interfere and strip any of this HTML out or interfere at all. So we created this module, and it has many uses. You can use it in the content mode for HTML. You could use it to inject CSS in the head code or JavaScript in the head code. So it does a little more than the custom module for Joomla. So looking at what we've got going on here for our icons, we're just using Bootstrap, And as you see here, we're using Bootstrap 2. Bootstrap 2 is what comes core inside of Joomla right now. Joomla will be updating by Joomla 4 to Bootstrap 4, unless there is a problem with the release schedule, and then it might be 3, but I'm pretty sure by the time that Joomla 4 is done, Bootstrap 4 will be complete and ready for action. So again, the reason that we're using Bootstrap 2 is that's what Joomla uses, and with everything that we make, we try to remain complete with Joomla standards. So we're not using Bootstrap 3 and calling a different Bootstrap, we're calling the inherent Bootstrap 2. So we start off with a row fluid because we want to start a new row here. And then we have our ahref here. And this is what you're going to want to change for your Facebook here. Because you see we start off with an ahref, this is the link. Then we have a div class here of span2, Bootstrap span2, sleft Facebook. The sleft in the Facebook is giving the icon the style, and Facebook is giving it the color in the CSS. So next we just call an iClass. This iClass is using Font Awesome. If you're not familiar with Font Awesome, you can go to the typography page of the template demo and see all the Font Awesome icons, or you can go to the Font Awesome website. And these are just web font icons. So first thing you have to do is you have to give it a class here of FA for Font Awesome, then FA-Facebook. So we've opened the iClass and closed the iClass, and that's what gives us the icon. And then we close here with our div, closing div, and our A. So that goes for everything down here, for the Google, for the LinkedIn, for the Twitter, all the way down here to the final one. The envelope is the email. So we've just done a link right here to our contact page, index.php jstuff contact. And you can see here we have it in the top slide position, and show title, nope, we don't need to show a title. So that's the top slide. Next, let's go to our menu bar left. This is our main menu. So we have it set for start level 1, all, show the submenus. We selected the main menu. Over here in the advanced, we have a no margin, and we've selected layout main menu. See here in our overrides, we have a main menu override, we have a side menu override, we have a canvas left and right, and we have a bottom menu. So for the main menu, just going to select main menu, and that's fully responsive. And the main menu is powered by the Bootstrap core menu with some additional styling that we did, and CSS3 drop-down hover effects. So next we're going to look at that inset position. Here in the inset, we have our inset text. And so again, this is our Joomla XTC HTML module. We have no title on it, and then we have just some simple markup here. So first class we're doing an offset 6, and that's a Bootstrap class. So in the 12-column grid, we're offsetting it from the left 6. That's what's pushing the text over to the right of the image of the guy. Next, we're using our jParticle1 ID here and class particle show div. What this is doing, that's creating the colored dots in the background. And that's actually set up as an effect in the template manager. In order to render that effect, you need to have a ID set for it of the jParticle1 or whatever ID you choose inside the template manager, and I'll be showing that to you once we get done with the modules here. So next, we have a div class inset text. This is wrapping our text here. We're centering the text. We have an H1 for James, an H1 for Bondi, an H3 class of MoTitle. That's what gives it the little HR. Then we have our P class here with our entrepreneur, blogger, influencer, speaker. So no special module suffix or anything. Nice simple HTML. So next we're going to go to user 1. User 1 is the About section, and this again is a custom HTML module. And again, here we go with our Bootstrap class, our row fluid, span 6. Span 6 is 6 of 12, so that's 50%. So here's our about text. Here's the about me. Here's our HR mode title 2, giving us our little HR there, our P class, and our read more that's linking directly to our superpowers category. And we're using the Bootstrap button, BTN, and then button primary, read more, close the A. And then we have our span 6 about image. And here we're calling from our main images folder of Joomla our picture of the guy. And here in the module class suffix, we want no padding because we don't want to have any padding on it. We want it to be all the way to the bottom and no padding. So next, in user 13, we have our logo bank. Again, a no pad on this because we want it to have no padding on the module. And we want to simply call our img logo bank. Here's our alt tag. And we want it to be centered. So real simple HTML there. Next, in user 19, we have our superpowers. This is our Deluxe News Pro module. So with our superpowers, for those images that you saw with the skewed text on them, we want 2 columns and 2 rows. So it's going to give us 4 items and 1 page because we don't want to have any scroll or anything. It's just a simple 1 page with 2 columns and 2 rows, giving us 4 Joomla content items. So when you install the template, it's already going to be set here with the template. When you click Edit here, it's going to load all of this into the module for you. So if you need to edit any of the text, you want to click the Edit button. So here I've gone ahead and I already have it set to none here to be able to show you the markup, because that's probably the first thing that you're going to want to know once you install the template and it's already preset in here and you want to change the superpowers and you want to change these progress bars and whatnot. You just merely click Edit and it will load this in here, and on the advanced page it's going to load the CSS. So let me go over this real quick. So we have a row fluid of the skill set. We have a span 6 of the thumb set. That's what's putting the articles on the left with the links. And this is the main area. Main area is what renders this markup here, the main content. And then we close the div, and then we have our span 6 to go on the right side with the S-Powers class. And this is just pure HTML. So we have our H3, we have our HR class, we have our byline, more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Imagine where that's from. And then we have our P class. And then we have our progress titles here. And these are the progress bars. And this is just the core of Bootstrap's progress bar. So we're going to do progress info. This is what gives us a progress bar in the color. And then we have our scroll to reveal here. Scroll to reveal is a JavaScript in CSS that will reveal elements when you scroll to it. And this is just some simple code that you put in here. It's just a data-sr, and then it's reset. What reset does is it resets it so every time that you scroll past the area, it's going to reset, so the effect happens every time that you scroll to it. Then we're going to wait 0.3 seconds. We're going to hustle it over 3 seconds. And then we have the class bar and the style, width 90%. That's how much of the progress bar you want. So if it's 10%, you only have 10% progress, 90% is 90%. And see, what we're doing here is on each one, we're delaying it a little bit. We're waiting 3 seconds, 6 seconds, 9 seconds, so about 0.3 seconds for everyone to load in. And so on the left side, this is what we're calling over here in the main area up here in the top. We're saying we want a div class of tnail for thumbnail. We want a ahref link, and we're calling a field in here, a Joomla extra field. We're calling a thumbnail field. The reason that we didn't use the article intro image or the article full image was because we wanted to create a smaller thumbnail to make the template load faster. And this is a great thing you can do with extra fields and with our modules, such as our Deluxe News Pro, is you can call extra fields inside of here. So you could go ahead and set up in your Joomla article, like I'm going to show you right after we get done with this, create an extra field type for thumbnail, upload a thumbnail image, and render it here in the module so you don't have to call the full image or the intro image, which might be a huge size image, but you're only displaying like a 200 pixel by 200 pixel image. So why would you want to use a huge 700 size image? So next here on the module, we have the advanced settings. When you click edit, here's all of your CSS for the module. And here's the max width. This is all of the responsive classes. Here's our thumbnail P. As you can see here, we're doing a rotation, CSS3 rotation to make it sideways. So if you need to edit any of the CSS, you can do it right here in the module. Some of the colors that are attached to it are in the style CSSs because we have different colors for different styles. So the main markup is going to be right here inside of the custom CSS. Any of the color options and such are going to be in the style CSSs. So let's close out of here and let's take a brief look at the articles. And let's go over here to our search tools and select category and superpowers. So we'll look at evangelist. So here we've created several different extra fields. We've got our sharer extra field, and this is for the share tags. You put your hashtag here, your title, and your URL. Your URL is going to be the URL of the article. And that's for the sharing icons. The thumbnail here, you just select your thumbnail right here from the media manager, put your thumbnail in, and you're good to go. So let me show you over here how we set that up. Here's our fields. Here's our thumbnail field. So we select the type media. We named it thumbnail. It's not required. Directory use default. Preview use from plugin. No special class on it. Automatic display, no. And permissions are just the same as default. So that's how we set up the thumbnail. So let's go back here to the modules again. And let's look at user 25. This is the latest posts. Again, in this demo, I don't have any of the templating set up. When you install it, it's going to have the template pre-selected, and you can click the edit button to load all the markup into the module. So for this one, we have 4 columns and 2 rows, giving us a total of 8 items. And then here we have our module HTML. And at the most basic for this Deluxe News Pro, all you'd really need to do is render this main area. That's the main area, and then it would call in your HTML template here. But for this, we're adding some special styling to it because we want to use that filter container, and we want to have some text here. So we have our spinning chat, and this is what makes the comment image spin. We wrap it in that div. Then we have the IMG ID slide caption, and close the div. Now we have our filter wrap, and here's our byline. The influence is strong with this one. Now we start our container. And what this is going to do, this is the inputs here for the container that has the selectable tabs. So if you want to change the name of a tab, you do it right here. Here's all items. That's for all of them. 1 is design, investments, multimedia. And that's how you change those names here. So down here in this, we have the LI class portfolio cat ID. We're calling the category ID in there for the LI class. And this is how we actually set it up to have the clickable buttons and to assign the ID. So it's assigning an ID to each one. And then we have our overlay, we're showing our H3 title, our intro text, Ahref link language, that's calling the read more. And then we have our IMG, article intro image URL. And then we're closing our LI. So as you see here, we did not use a thumbnail from the content. We just used the regular article image URL. And now if we go over here to the advanced, let me show you real briefly though, we've selected design, investments, and multimedia in here for the category IDs. Now here's the advanced. Here is our custom CSS. Now if you choose to have different categories shown, you're going to have to get that category ID number, and I'll show you right as soon as we get out of here how to get that, and you're going to have to update this. As you see here, we have our portfolio 151, that's a category ID. 152 is the next category ID, and 154 is the next category ID. So in order to assign the tabs to your categories, you're going to have to change this yourself. You're going to have to go and get the ID for the category, each category, and change these here. Now going back, you'll see that we have design, investments, and multimedia. Okay, so those are categories 151, 152, 154. So you change them here, here, and here. These three lines that you see here, you change them all out there. Let me show you how to get those category IDs. You go over to your categories, and you look over here on the right, you'll see that you have design is 151, investments is 152, multimedia is 154. So this might not seem like the easiest module to configure because you have to go in there and you have to grab your category IDs and everything. But if you really look at it and you see what you can actually do with it, we actually created this filterable category ID just by using our module here and some simple markup. So you can just imagine all the different things you can do with the Deluxe News Pro. So we're going to go down here to user 31, and this is my gallery, and it's a Joomla HTML module. Again, some very simple stuff. So we start off with a row fluid. We have a span 7, gallery inner, and here's how we're calling the gallery. Basically, using our plugin, we say gallery, and then we put in the name of the folder inside of the images folder, which is gallery, and then we close gallery, and that calls all the images from this gallery folder and displays them. So now we close this, and we have a span 5 for our text. Here's our photo gallery living through the lens. Here's our P and our button. And our button links to our blog photo gallery. User 37 is my events. Again, this is our Deluxe News Pro. And again, I've started off here with none selected for the template. We have 4 columns, 1 row, and 2 pages. Okay, so the pages are 2 pages. That means that we can select a display style for the pages. We can have a vertical slider, a fader, a draggable window, a zoom window, but we're going to go with horizontal slider because we want to slide. Window width, don't worry about that. That's only for the zoom window. Transition pause, this is the pause time between the transitions from going from 1 page to 2 pages. We have a -1 in there because we don't want it to transition until you click one of the little icon buttons. So our duration of time for it to go is 1500. The slide orientation, we want left to right. If we had a vertical slider, it would be top to bottom. We have a horizontal, it's left to right. Here's your transition type, it's linear. These are all the JavaScript transition types. Our button style here. So now we can see that here is our HTML. So pretty quickly here, we just do the byline. We do the upcoming events class. And now we add a div class here to page ST. And then we do pages here. Pages is what gives us those little circles underneath to click on. Now, what we're doing here is normally pages would show a value of a 1 and a 2. For 2 pages, it would show each page as numeric. But we've switched that out to make little circles using font awesome, and that's why we gave it the div class page st. So instead of showing numerics, we're showing content classes from font awesome icons. So next we have our markup here, of which we have our DMP grid 1, an href to the link to the article, an img for the image, close that. Now we have our date, our title, and our button. Again, the basic CSS is right here. So as you see here, we're actually just doing content. We have a little my dot here and another one. And this is how we're changing the page buttons. We're telling it to span to display none, and we're telling it before and before to add this. Then we have our basic styling here. Again, there is additional styling in the style CSS for each style. Now in user 43, the video archives, another custom HTML module. And so we're just doing a row fluid, a span 7, a video gallery inner, and then here's our quick YouTube plugin. Quick YouTube, you just put YouTube and the video ID right here, and you're done. Now we have our text here with our H3, our HR class, our P class, another P, and our button. And finally, in user 49 is the Acy Mailing Module. If you're not using the quick start, you're going to have to go download the Acy Mailing Module. You can find the Acy Mailing Module on the JED, the Joomla extension directory. It's a component in a module called Acy Mailing. The starter edition that we've pre-packed with the template is free. And so to configure this, we'll just open it up. We want to have a normal. We want it vertical. And then we have a little bit of markup right here. The let me stalk and spam you, and the get connected. So pretty simple to configure that one. So now let's look at the modules that go around this get connected, and that would be our left 10, which is a custom HTML, and it's just a giant letter. We open this up, you see we have some scroll to reveal here. We want to reset. Again, it's resetting every time you scroll to it. We want it to enter to the left. And let's say please, just to be nice. And we want to hustle 100 pics over 2 seconds. And give it a class of giant letter. And then we have our bracket here in our P. So it's just a simple P class. You notice here in the module class suffix, we have a no margin, no pad. As well, we have hidden phone. Because once we get to the device level, everything's going to go to one column. So we don't want to have this bracket above the newsletter and then another bracket below. We just want to hide them. All we want to have is a newsletter. It's not really necessary to see this effect of these brackets on a telephone. So we're going to go here to right 10 and notice that it's the same thing, except we're telling it to enter to the right this time, and we've changed the bracket. Same no margin, no pad, hidden phone. So now let's jump over to the template manager. So we're going to go to templates, styles. And we're going to select the influence template. And it might take a second or two to load here, depending on your server speed. But we are calling hundreds of parameters in here that you can edit, so it does take a moment to load up and get all styled. So this is our main menu. You have your details here, default layout, again, Bootstrap 2. We are going to be updating this very soon with Bootstrap 3, some other CSS frameworks, and Bootstrap 4. And right now, we just have Bootstrap 2. Our layout, the grid style is default. There's no more grid styles in here. Template style, this one is selectable. You've got style 1 through 4. So if you like one of the predefined styles, you can select it right here to show it. Typography is default. Custom options are default. You can view the layout of the template by clicking on this button, and you'll see we have our layout here, and you can zoom in. Documentation here, support here. Next is the grid. So do we want a responsive grid? Yes or no? Of course we do. Then we have our body. I'm going to go over this real briefly here and let you know a little more about it here as we go through it. So the body width. The body width, you can select from any width that we have in here, or you can just type right in here the width. This is the width in pixels. Right now it's 1280. The body padding is 0. We want to have some mobile body padding. We can put it here. So everything that we have in here, we've got a desktop and a mobile. Now this body width is for the width of the website, not the width of the browser. So we're saying that we only want it to be 1280. We don't want it to be full width. We want it to be a fixed width. So the fixed width is 1280. So next we have our header. So sticky header, yes or no. This will fix the header to the top of the website. So when you scroll, it'll remain there. Or no, it'll scroll with the website. Now the header width, do we want it fluid or fixed? So we just determined that our body fixed width is 1280. So that's what fixed is. It's 1280. Do you want the header to go full width? It would be fluid. Then we have our top slide height, that top slide module position. We need to have a height of it in there. So if you put a different module in there or something, you need to determine the height in pixels that it is, because that's actually important because it got a negative margin on it to hide it, and then when it comes into view, it's margin 0. So we need to know the height of it because we need to hide that height. And the reason that it's done with a negative margin is so we can have a nice CSS3 transition. If we just use a display none and a display block when you scroll, it's going to be real jumpy and just kind of show it. It won't have any transition. So in order to do the transition, we had to actually change the height and the margin on it. So it's very important that if you use the top slide, you put the height in it. Header height, somewhat of the same principle. It's for the sticky header because we want to know how much of a body top margin we're going to give. Because when you put the sticky header, that means the body's going to go up underneath it. So we have to have a bit of a margin bottom on the body to actually push the body down to show the header. So the header's there and the body's pushed down so the header is not covering the body on the initial load. And so the header padding, here's where you put in your padding for the header. Here's your header device view padding if you want to change the padding of it at device view. Next is your menu. We have a main menu wrap padding, and this is for the outer wrap of the main menu. And then we have a menu item padding, that's for each item. And then the menu item spacing is the margin to the right. So you see here we have a 0, 0, 8 pix and a 0 pix here. Now we have our drop-down menu. This is the drop-down menu style. So we have a bunch of different CSS3 styles here. You can bounce it in, bounce it down, bounce it up, rotate it, zoom it, fade it in. For this, we just wanted a simple fade in. Menu style can be 1 to 4 columns. Drop-down width. We've added this recently to our framework because we had a lot of people asking, I need to change the width of that drop-down menu. So we thought we'd make it easy for you. So you need to actually set the width that you want the drop-down to be. Now, if you're going to have 2 columns or 3 columns, of course, you probably want to have it more than 140 px. This is the drop-down menu padding, and that's for the drop-down menu, the outer wrap of it. And then we have the item padding here. This is for each item. And the menu position, center, left, or right. Here's our modules. This is the separator between modules vertically, which is 0, and our module padding, which is 24. Again, the module padding, that's the module padding for the whole module. That's why we're using the no pad in certain instances of our modules, because we don't want to have that 24 pix padding by default. So we're using a no pad suffix. Now we have the regions. This is the region layout. I showed you this in the first video, that we just saying there's 12 regions, so we're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if you want to change the order, you can change the order. If you're only using 7 regions, go ahead and delete the rest of them here, and it won't render them. Just remember, you always need to have region 3. Region 3 holds a component. If you remove region 3, then you won't be able to say Joomla content or any component that you have installed. So next we have our regions, and this is region 1 through 12, R1 through 12. First is the region 1 width. Do you want it fixed to the body width, the 1280, or do you want it to go fluid, full width? Collapse Bootstrap Gutters. Of course, all the modules that are in the module positions are using Bootstrap. So if we have 6 modules there, they're going to be called by Bootstrap, and Bootstrap puts gutters on them. So if you want to remove the gutters from Bootstrap, normally you'd have to go in and recompile the Bootstrap or do a Bootstrap override. So we just put an override in there with a parameter on it so you can collapse the gutters. Next is the padding. So region 1 holds the inset position where we have our hero text and the image of our James Bondi. So we want to give it some space here. We want to actually position this thing so it's got some padding on it. So we have 100 pixels on the top, 20 pixels on each side, and 180 on the bottom. Of course, for device view, we need to change that a little. We don't need any padding on the left and right, and we need 120 on top and 140. Another addition here is if you want to hide this region in device view, you can hide it for tablets, phones, and phones. These regions are generally exactly the same, except when we get into region 2 through 11 has sidebars on each one. So the same thing here with fixed, collapse of gutters, padding, but we have region 2 sidebars. So your left 2 and your right 2 module position, this is the spans in a 12-column grid. So right now we've got the left 2 set for 2 columns and the right 2 set for 2 columns. So it means it takes up 4 columns of our 12-column grid. So that means that the content is going to be 8 columns wide. Then here under region 3, we have a little more. We have our component, our region 3 component padding, and then we have our sidebars and everything else. So here, 4, 5, all the way down to 12 is going to have these sidebars and the same settings, but depending on what modules you have in that region and what kind of padding they need, you can set the padding here. Region 12 only has bottom 1 through 6 modules, so there's no left and right. And then we have our footer. Sticky footer, yes or no. Footer fixed, footer padding. And that's the grid setup. Next is the styles. So I'm going to go over style 1 here, because style 1 through 4 are the same parameters and basically the same. So let's start with the colors. Base colors. These are the base colors for the template. So we have our purple, we have our lighter purple, our orange, and our blue. So the predominant colors that we're using are right here in base color 1 and 2. If you want to change what you see in the template for the colors, the main colors, you change them right here. Here's the button colors. We have the default Joomla button color. Then we have overrides for the Bootstrap buttons, because we use Bootstrap 2 buttons everywhere in the template, but we wanted to have buttons that adhere to the color of the template. So we're overriding the Bootstrap button colors here. Here's your typography colors, your body text color, your H classes, your link, and your link hover. The back to top here, if you choose to turn the back to top module on, or effect in fact, on, you can change the icon color here and the background color per style. Next we have our body. So we have an overlay background color and overlay background image. We have an overlay module that will put an overlay panel on top of the website when it loads, and when you scroll it'll slide up and go away. So here you can set an image for it, a background color, but if the module's not on, then you don't need to worry about that. And we're not using it in this template right now, so these don't actually do anything. It's ignoring that because it's not on. Body background video. If you want to have a background video, you can put it right here. Since Joomla 3.7 does not have the new Joomla Media Manager, and this template was built with Joomla 3.7. There is no way to select a MP4 video from the Media Manager here. So what you're going to need to do to insert your own video, if you want to have a background video, is you need to upload the video to the templates, influence, images, backgrounds. Put the video in there and just put the name of the video .mp4 right there, and now you can have a background video. The background video can be displayed on the home page, all pages, or none. It can be looped, it can be muted. You can put a video opacity on it. Let's say that you have an image of a lake and you have a video of fog, but you want to show the background image in there with the fog. You just set the opacity to 2 or 3, and then the video, you can see through the video. That can add a nice effect. We also have video speed here. This is really nice. If you have some video and it's going too fast, you can slow it down. If it's going too slow, you can speed it up. You can set this to some wacky high numbers and really see some crazy stuff in videos, especially if it's something abstract. Background video preload, auto, metadata, or none. I'd suggest none so it doesn't preload. If it's auto, then it's going to preload before your website. It's going to slow the load up of your website. If it's none, the website will go ahead and load and the video will load after. Here's the body homepage style. So you have your background color, you have your background image. So we have our struct axiom here for our background image, and it's repeat and fixed. Our background size is auto. Since we're just using a small repeating PNG here, we don't have any of these background device level switches here. So what you can do with each region and with the body here is you can choose to say background at device level. No, it won't show any background image. Maybe you want to not have the background image to make it load faster on a phone. You don't need it. Yes, we want to have the background image, or swap, and you can swap the images out at the landscape tablet view at 979, at the portrait tablet view 767, and at the phone at 480. So you can have a different image for your background for every device level. Now we have the body subpage styles. So all of this was the home page right here. So you can have a different background for the home page or the subpages. So here on the subpage, we're doing the same thing. We don't need to change it. Next is the header. The header top wrap background. Above the main menu and the logo, there's top left and top right positions. And if you put modules in those, you can set the background color for that here. So let's say that you want to have your header in blue, and then you want to have a light gray or even a black, as we have here, top bar above that, and have maybe your phone number in the top left or some social icons in the top right. Here we have our header wrap background color. And we have our header wrap sticky background color. And what this does is you can set your background color here. Choose your color. Then you can have a sticky color. So let's say that you want to have this transparent. So you want to have the text right on top of the website, but you don't want to have any color in the background. But when you scroll down, you want to turn it to black. So you could go ahead and put black in here, and as you scroll down, the sticky background will change. Here's your header wrap background image, header wrap image position, your outer wrap, and then we have our header wrap device view. Now here's where we're going to get back to that grid part talking about the body. This is the full width background style. This means that it goes from the left and to the right of the browser, full width. Next is our fixed width background style. So here you see we have a 0, 0, 0. Up here you see we have nothing because we don't want it to go full width. We just want it to fix to the body. So this is the fixed width. So we have it black, no backgrounds or anything. So it's going to be a common theme that we're going to go over here and that you're going to see a lot as we go through these regions. So if you don't understand that right now, you certainly will by the time we get through this. So now let's look at the logo. We have a website logo image. Here's where you select your image. Here's where you select any padding that you want on it. The image position, static, fixed, or absolute. Logo position, top, left, or right. Logo text. So here on this website, we're not using any logo image. We don't need an image. We just want to use logo text. So you see we've got a span for the eye, and that's what's giving it our color. And we're using our base color 2 right there inside the CSS to say the span for the logo is going to be the base color 2 there in the colors, and the rest is just going to be white because we've set it right here, logo text color white. But we did the span here and put it in the style 1 CSS to make it a different color. Here's your text padding, logo text position left. Now we have our mobile logo. So at the mobile view, we have this, but as you can see, we've changed up our padding here. We went from 00024 to 140024. So we want to have some different padding at the mobile view. So now we're going to go to our menu styling. Main menu background color, this is for the full menu wrap. Menu item background color, this is to color each item. Menu item hover background color, the hover color for each menu item. Menu item active background color. So we don't want to have any background colors on them. We don't want to style buttons. We don't need to have any hover effects on it. We just want to actually use text and use the text hovers. So here we have our menu text color, our hover color, and our active color. Here we have a main menu parent icon. If you want to use an icon when the menu item is a parent of a subchild, which would mean for a drop-down, if you want to show an icon after the menu item title that denotes that it has a drop-down to it, you can go ahead and select any one of these styles here. Simply just font awesome. And then you can animate it, right 120 degrees, left, Main menu border, if you want to put a border around the main menu items, you can do it boxed, all 4 columns, top, right, left, bottom. Border width is set to 0 here, so we're not showing any border. So you have a border style of solid, grooved, ridged, inset, outset, dashed. Then you have your border color, your hover color, your active color, and the border radius. Now we get in the main menu drop-down style. So we have our main menu drop-down style background color. This is for the wrap. Border radius of 0. We don't need to be curved, rounded. Menu item background color again. We don't want to have any background colors there. The border radius 0. The text color, we want it to be white. Here we want to have purples when you hover. We want to have our parent icon here. We selected angle double right. We want to move it 90 degrees when you hover. The menu border position, we're here for the drop-down menu. We have a border on it. So we've selected, we want it on the bottom. We want it 1 pixel. We want it solid. We want it to be this darker gray color. On the hover, we want it to be a little lighter. And active, we want it to be purple. And we don't need any border radius. We don't need it curved. So here's your basic module styling. So you have a module wrap background color. Here we just have a transparent. We don't want the core module to have a background color. Module title background color. No, we don't need a module title background color for our default module. Our first word and our second words are all the same. Inside of our modules, you can do a first word and the rest of the words can be another color. But for this template, same colors. Module border radius, 0. We're at region 1 now. Region 1, the full outer width is transparent. Again, this is from side to side, and we already have our body background image, our pattern going there in the background. So we want to just set this for transparent, not worry about it. Now the wrap here for the fixed width, which adheres again to our 1280, our body, that's the fixed width. So for here, our region 1, we want to set it to a black background, and we've set it to the R1 JPEG, and we set it for no repeat, 30%, 10%. So the reason we have this 30%, 10% here is, 30%, 0% is we actually want to move the image over, because if we select here and we look at our images, you'll see that we have here our R1 JPEG. It's a very thin stripe here of the, go ahead and view the image. You'll see it's a thin stripe of the guy. So the reason that we didn't create a full width image with a guy in a black background is that's just going to be a very large image that is having to be downloaded by the browser or the device. So we went ahead and said, okay, let's just cut this and let's use a black background and let's position it 30% from the left to move it over. We've got it set to auto. And then down here, what we want to do is we want to swap this out for mobile. So as you can see for the landscape, for the 979, the image is actually only like 700 in like 80 or 90 pixels. So it's fine just to use the same image. We really want to switch it out on the phone because we want to use a smaller one at 480. So we've switched this out, said, okay, at 979, use the original image. Here at 767, use the original image. At 480, let's swap it out for this image. And in region 2, you see we just have a background color of white. Region 3, we have a background color of FA, kind of a lighter white. And then down here, the component background style, transparent, that's fine. You already have a background color on the region 3. If you want the component to have a different color, you do it right here. And here's the sidebars, left and right. So our left and right sidebars, we can have colors wrapping them. So instead of saying that, well, let's color our modules to be gray, or let's use a module suffix to make them a color, we just went ahead and wrapped the left and the right here with our color. So they're all inside of one wrap. In region 4, again, just a different color variation, no images needed. Region 5, we have our JB back JPEG, FFF, no repeat, 110. And that's what gives us our JB kind of logo thing there in the background. Region 6, we're using a repeating image, repeat, and we just want to set it for yes because it's a small JPEG image. It doesn't need to swap out. We don't need to set it to cover or contain. Region 7. Region 7 is the image behind the photo gallery. So as you can see, we have R7 S1 JPEG. We have a top center no repeat, and we've selected cover because we want to cover the entire area. And then we're swapping it out here. Since this is a larger image, what we've done is we have this at 1280, and then we're using cover to blow it up to the size of the browser. And then we go here, swap, and here's our images here. Now, if you look at these, you're going to see something here. The reason that this isn't auto-generating, we could have automatically put in auto-generating thumbnails and caching to go ahead and give you all of your sizes for your devices. But the problem with that is your original image is going to be something like, let's see, where's the R1? Okay, here's our original image. Sorry about that. Let's do this again. Let's select, I want to preview it. Let's view the image. So as you can see, we have this image, but it's wide, but it's not tall. Now, as we go down to device level, here's our 979. Oops. Got to preview that. See, our 979, it's about the same height, but it's getting smaller. But then once we get to like 767, we need to have a taller image. So basically, we're just cutting the image. We're leaving it the same height, but we're cutting in and focusing in on this. And by the time you get over here to the 480, it needs to be tall and thin because your content that's in that region is all going to be one column, so it's going to be taller. So there's no way to automatically do this and say, okay, well, it needs to be this tall or this wide, and this one needs to be this tall, because we don't know how much content you're going to have in there. So we've given you the option here to go ahead and select different images to load for the devices. So in region 8, we have our airplane, no repeat, 95, 5%. And I'm going to show you how we're moving that airplane here in a moment, once we get into the effects. Region 9, again, we have an image here, no repeat cover, and then we're swapping it out for the device levels. Region 10, we just have a repeating image, and we want to say yes. Nothing in region 11, nothing in 12. Here's our footer. We want it to be black. And here's your J content. And this is the Joomla content styling. So you have your page title color here. You have your image opacity. So if you just want your image to be full opacity, set it for 1. But what you can do is we've set it up with a background color around the image. So if you want to give your images a tint of the same color as your template, you can simply put your color in here and then take the opacity down like to 7 or whatever. When you hover over the image, it will go to full opacity, but when they load the page of the image, it's going to have that background showing through. So here's our Joomla content article title color. Here's your category title color, your blog item background color, your blog item text color, your blog item padding, your blog item border radius. So if you wanted to have each blog item in its own panel, you could set a background color here. You could set some padding on it, and if you want it to be rounded, you could put a border radius on it. Here's the core Joomla content read more button style. You can either have it on the left or the right. You can have a background color, a text color, a border color, a hover color, text hover color, and a border hover color. And your button style, your button border radius. This is for all buttons, your global button border radius. So next, let's look at the typography. So you can have your text direction, left to right, right to left. Web font, this is where you go ahead and call your Google web fonts. You just go to the fonts.google and grab your code here, and it's pulling from Google. Then we have our body font size, our font family, and font weight for the desktop. Here's the mobile. This is at 767. So if you want to change the font at mobile, you can change it here. The menu, here's your desktop, your main menu font size, your drop-down menus, and your mobile menus. As you can see here, we're changing the font size from 18 to 24 for the mobile menu because we definitely want to have it bigger on mobile. Your logo, here's where you select your font size, your font family, and your weight, and your mobile. Here's your global headings. Here's your mobile. Here's the component heading for components. Here's the category heading, article headings, modules, and your breadcrumb. Here's our custom code area. So if there's a tracking pixel or something you need to put in your head code, you can add it right here. If there's something you need to put in the body code, there. Or if you need to add some JavaScript, you can put it right in there. Now on to the effects. So we've added a lot of effects here to our framework, and we're going to be extending this. And the nice thing about these effects is they're going to be installable shortly. Right now we are just packaging them with a template, and a lot of these aren't in use in here. So we're going to start to pull these out and let you install them as you see fit. There will be a whole section on our website for the installable effects for the framework. So let's look at the background effects. This is the background effects, and this is the background transitions. So we've given you 5 different groups here, or 6 actually. So you put this area selector. So let's say the airplane. Okay, the airplane's in region 8. So I select region 8, My class is region 8. I want to move that left. I want it to loop, yes. Here's my background speed, and here's my image size. So for the looping, you can say yes, you can have it alternate back and forth. You can move that background image up, down, left, right, anything. So as you see, you can do a lot of really cool things with those region backgrounds. If you have clouds maybe in your background, you want to move them up and down or left and right, you can select this right here. The back to top button, if you turn the back to top button on, you'll have a back to top button at the bottom. Here is your position, bottom right, bottom left, bottom center, offset, the scroll height to enable it, so it's not enabled like right when you start. The opacity setting, the duration, how long it's going to take to scroll back to top, font awesome icon. Here's your icon that you're going to want to use for your icon and your icon size. The gradientify, this you can do a nice gradient background animation from color changing. So if you look at our demo for our fresh truck template, you can see that in use in the header area. We're not using it in this template. The hover effects, these are enabled. And these are just CSS3 hover effects. We've gone ahead and we've added the normal classes that you would want to have in there, like the A classes and our sticky header and buttons and such. And this just gives you that color changing effect that's a transition instead of a hard change. So if you want to add some custom hover classes like we did here, we have our T-nail and our T-nail P. Just add them right here. J particles. Okay, so this is the colored dots that you're seeing in the inset position. So we go ahead and we want to enable, okay? And our particle, yes, we want to enable it. Our effects class is JParticle1. As you saw inside of the custom HTML module, we gave it a div ID of JParticle1. Our effect width is 400 and 400. And real easy setting here, our distance is 180 and our range is set to 0. You can visit up here, the particle ground, duapp.com, to find all the codes and all the examples that you need to put in here for the custom parameters. There's a wave effect that gives you a waveform or like waves. And then there's also a snow effect. And the custom parameters can be put right in here, right from this website. Here's our parallax effect. Right now we're not using any parallax inside the template, but if you want to use a parallax effect on a region background, you would just enable it and set it for either the region wrap or the region itself. Preloader is disabled. If you want to use a preloader, you can enable it here. Here's your speed, your background color, your preloader style. We have a bunch of different styles in here for you. Your text, if you want to have text. Your text color, your transition style. Do you want it to slide up when it's done? Do you want it to slide open? Do you want it to fade? And here's your preloader color. Scroll to reveal is scroll reveal JS. This is the scroll to reveal JavaScript. You can enable it or disable it. That's what gives us our animations, our CSS3 animations. You can find out how that all works here at scrollrevealjs.org. Look at the wiki for the keywords to use. Scroll rotate. If you put a class here like pound logo and you enable it, the logo will rotate when you scroll. This is the share.js, and you can look it up here at Ellison Rock's share.js. This is how we're creating the sharing icons in the content that we've set up with extra fields. In the extra field, you can put in the values that you need for your hashtag, for your article link, and for your title. And then we have a smooth scroll effect. We have this set to yes, so the website does a smooth scrolling effect as you scroll. Under the advanced, we have different CSS modes here. Right now, we're calling separate files. There's about 5 files that we're calling inside the template. We call the default CSS, we call the grid CSS, we call the style CSS, and we call the typo CSS. And if you have a template CSS or your own custom CSS file, it'll be calling that, all separate files. So you can go ahead and load those in a single file on load or head embedding, CSS compression, you can compress the CSS. Front page components, do you want to show the component on front page? Yes or no? We're not showing it on this one because we don't want to show homepage articles or anything. We just want to show module positions. And include jQuery. This includes the latest jQuery library in no conflict mode. If you're having a jQuery conflict on your website with the template because of a third-party extension, you might want to go in and see if that extension is loading jQuery. And if it's loading jQuery, turn it off. If you're unable to turn it off, try turning this off. This is a good way to debug. We put in there to include it or not. We're using a lot of jQuery in here, and Joomla uses jQuery, and a lot of components use jQuery, but some of them aren't really coded with no conflict or, don't play well together. So this is just a really good way to go ahead and see if it's conflicting here by turning it on and off if you have a problem. And then your menu assignment, this is just core Joomla. This is how you would select a multi-template site. If you just want to have the influence template on certain pages, you can select it here and select another template for other pages. All right, well, that was a nice long video, and I hope this was very helpful and informative and helped you to get started with the influence template. And we will see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching.